Hello. How you doing, Miss Goodwin?
I'm doing great. And oh, you guys are live.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Ms. Moore?
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are streaming this live for our parents. And so I'm going to go over some information at the beginning so I can give you some updates on what we've been doing to prepare for the school year, what we have in place right now, what are our plans going forward. One of the things that we really want to emphasize is that our number one priority is to keep our students and staff safe. And we would like to share with you some of the things that have been going on in the district in order to accomplish this goal. Also, we do want to give you the opportunity, if you have questions or concerns, if you will please let us know and type those into the chat box. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. We are doing the first meeting from 5:45 to 6:45. I will talk at the beginning and go over some things that apply to the district as a whole. And then we will have individual time for each of the three principals to share what's going on specific to their building. And if you have any questions, if you will let us know, we will try to address that as quickly as possible. The first thing that I'd like to start with is to tell you thank you so much for working with us and all of your hard work in order to ensure that your students' learning environment at home has been conducive to learning. I know this is new and we've started the school year very different than we've ever started before. And we do want to tell you how appreciative we are for all of your assistance in making sure that your child's logging on and participating in the Zoom meetings and attending class sessions and uploading information. We really do acknowledge all the hard work that you put in at your house in order to make your child's school year successful. So we'll start with some of the cleaning things that have gone on. When we closed in March, we did not know that we were going to be closing for the remainder of the school year. Then as additional information came in about COVID, we realized that this was a reality and that we would be ending the school year in a virtual platform and providing paper packets to all of our students. And so I do want to talk about some of the technology that we have gotten in the district and some of the updates related to that. Then this summer, all of our planning was put in place to make sure that we had a plan for if we opened school with students on campus or if we had students in a hybrid, which means that we had some students on campus, some students off campus, and then how would we plan if we had students all in a virtual format. We did realize at the close to school starting that we did need to open the school year in a virtual platform, and so that's how we opened this school year. One of the things that we did during the summer was to hire a cleaning company to come in and professionally clean all of our buildings and make sure that they were sanitized and that everything had been cleaned and ready for students to arrive on campus and staff members. And we have also purchased some additional cleaning supplies here at the district level as well as at the school level. All of our schools have electrostatic foggers that will be used in the classrooms. We've also provided all of our staff members with additional PPE supplies such as masks, hand sanitizer, cleaning products, things that they need to make sure that the classroom is as clean as possible. Our custodians have worked really hard to make sure that our common areas are cleaned and that we are increasing the amount of time that we're spending in those common areas, wiping down door handles and looking at areas that students and staff members are going to be in more often than they are other areas, and making sure that they are well cleaned. We also are making sure that everyone is aware of all of the cleaning items that we have purchased so that they will know that those are available. One of the things I also wanted to talk to you about tonight is our bus situation and let you know that we will be running the buses to and from school for those that qualify to ride the bus. However, I do need to let you know that if you elect to ride the bus, your child's exposure to COVID could be increased due to buses not having the capability of being able to social distance students on the bus. So if you elect for your student to ride the bus, do know that their risk of exposure could be increased due to the close proximity. Another thing that we're going to ask is when we arrive at your bus stop, if you will please make sure that you have your mask on before entering our school bus. Also, we will have hand sanitizer available for you to sanitize your hand, because everybody walking up into the bus will be touching the handrail, and we want to make sure that you're using hand sanitizer since everyone's touching that rail, loading and unloading the bus. Also, we're going to ask that you fill the bus from the back forward. So those students at the first bus stop need to go all the way to the back of the bus. If you have a sibling or someone in the household that is also riding the bus, you need to sit together in a seat. And then as we get to the next stop, then we will load to the next open seat. So we will be loading the bus from the back to the front. And this is to help cut down on students walking back and forth on the bus and having to cross over each other. Our buses are also going to be cleaned each time they're brought back to the bus barn. So when their route is done for the morning, we will have those same electrostatic foggers cleaning the bus once they arrive back at the bus barn. And then in the afternoon, after the bus route is ran, we will do those foggers again. Then in the afternoon, when we arrive at the school, we're going to ask students to load the bus in the order that they exited the bus in the morning, so that we can make sure that they're sitting in the same seat that they were in that morning when they got on the bus. It is going to be very critical that everyone wear a mask while being on the bus. So if your child arrives at the bus station without a mask, we will have one available for them. We do ask that you go ahead and talk to your students and let them know from the time they walk onto the bus until they get off the bus that afternoon, masks are required at school and riding the bus. One of the things that we also want to talk to you about is uniforms. We've had several questions asked. Are students still going to be in uniforms when we come back on campus? And yes, students will still be in uniforms. If you have any question or concerns about uniforms and need assistance with that, please reach out to your child's school and they can give you some additional information, but we are still currently under uniforms at the district level. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight is what we're doing in the classroom to make sure that students are safe. We will start the first 3 weeks of school in a blue gold schedule. So if your child is assigned to a blue schedule, they will come on campus on Monday and Tuesday, and then they will do virtual on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If your child is on the gold schedule, they will be on campus Thursday and Friday, and they would do virtual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. One of the reasons for this is we would like to bring our students in for the first 3 weeks to let them know the new routines and procedures, and making sure that everyone is comfortable with wearing their mask all day, making sure they know how to transition between classes, how to do arrival and dismissal procedures, and to make sure that they are familiar with all of the things related to COVID that is happening in the building. Then after the first 3 weeks, we will have students on campus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday. Wednesday will still be off campus in a virtual platform. This will allow us to do some additional cleaning on Wednesday to make sure that our buildings are as sanitized as possible in between our groups, and also to give our custodians the opportunity to get in those classrooms and do some cleaning midweek through. One of the things that we do ask that you help us with is to ensure that your child has a mask that they're comfortable wearing and that they like. We're not really putting restrictions on masks as long as they are appropriate and they're acceptable to be used in public settings. And so if your child has a face covering of some type that they have been wearing and they're used to wearing, we are fine with that. Our main concern is that it covers their nose and their mouth, and they can have a variety of masks that they would like. It can have sports teams on it. It can be different colors. It can have glitter on it, whatever they're comfortable with. If they want to design their mask, like I said, as long as it has appropriate um, graphics on it or that kind of thing, words, then we're okay with that. Whatever they're used to wearing. I know some of the students are used to wearing the ones where they pull up. We're okay with those. They can wear the ones that have the clear face shields on the front. That is appropriate for school. So any type of face covering that they have been wearing and they're used to is acceptable at school. We will also have masks at school for students who do not have a mask, and we will be issuing those to our students. If we have a student on campus that is not abiding by the mask rule, you will get a phone call from the building level administrators, and we will have a conversation with you about the seriousness of students wearing masks and the importance. We know that the more we can do to protect ourselves and others, we need to do. And one of the biggest ways to do that is for everyone to wear their mask. Another reason why we need to wear masks is to stop the spread of COVID-19. And a lot of the information that's being put out by the Alabama Health Department and the CDC has to do with the spread of the virus and how this is a respiratory virus. And so by droplets being in the air and we ingest those droplets into our respiratory system, that's how we are infected with COVID. So if everyone's wearing a mask and staying socially distanced, our chances of exposure to COVID is decreased. And so one of the things that we're also going to ask is that we don't do as many transitions during the day. So if you have elementary, intermediate school level kids, you will probably hear them talk about they're not going out of the room quite as much as they have in the past. We are going to work with our specialist teachers, and that is going to look different this year. Also, PE classes will kind of look a little different. Classroom instruction will look a little different. So we are putting things in place to make sure that all of our students are as safe and healthy as possible. One of the things that we also need your help with is making sure that you do the daily screener of the health symptoms before your child arrives on campus. I know I've received a couple of questions from parents wanting to know, are we doing temperature checks? And if we're not, why not? And so I will talk a little bit about that. According to the guidance that we've been given from the Alabama Department of Health, and they put out a school resource toolkit for us, and that is available on their website if you would like more in-depth information. The toolkit's about 88 pages long, and it goes into different things that schools can use as resources. And so what they found is there are 3 major symptoms that are tied to COVID, one of them being new loss of taste or smell, a new cough, or if you have shortness of breath or difficulty breathing. Those are the 3 major symptoms. If your child has a new loss of taste or smell and you send them to school, you will have the school nurse reach out to you, and you will need to come get your student. They will also need to be off campus for 14 days unless they go to the doctor and receive a COVID test. If they take the COVID test and the COVID test comes back negative, then the health department is going to ask that they stay off campus for 14 days. If that COVID test comes back positive, then they will need to be off campus for 10 days. And so it's very important that you take your child to the doctor to see if the symptoms are related to COVID or if they're symptoms related to something else. If you take your child to the doctor and they say it's related to, say, strep throat, and you get a prescription for that, then your child can come back on campus in the designated time that the doctor says. For instance, 24 hours after having a fever and they have medication, then they can come back on campus. Another thing that we're going to ask on that screener is that you look for the minor symptoms, and there are several minor symptoms on there. And so if your child is experiencing any of those major or minor symptoms, our school nurses would like for you to know that if you send your child to school and we have to send them home, they're not going to be able to come back for 14 days. However, if they're experiencing some of those symptoms and you keep them home and then you realize the next day it was just like a bug that they had or a virus that's ran its course and you send them to school, then your child may not have to be off campus for 14 days. So it's very important that you're doing that health screener check. Another important reason to do the health screener check has to do with if your child is sent home for any symptoms related to COVID, others in that class and that classroom teacher may also have to be sent home to quarantine. So say that as the classroom teacher, one of my students has a symptom and they're sent home for COVID, they go and get tested and they are positive, then I would have to be out as the classroom teacher and those students sitting within the 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. And so you could have a child or a teacher that multiple kids have to go into quarantine for, where if we would have kept them home and taken them to the doctor, then others in that class may not have had to be quarantined. So we are asking that you assist us with that and do the home screener each day. To answer the temperature question, one of the things that research is showing is that temperature is only one of the minor symptoms of COVID. And if you do not have more than just a temperature, your chances of having COVID is less than it is if you have multiple symptoms. And so we will not be doing temperature checks on everybody every day. I also wanted to talk about attendance. I know that I had a question come up from a parent. If their child is sent home in quarantine due to someone else getting COVID, will they be counted absent? And the answer to that question is no. It will be coded in the computer as COVID exposure, and your child will have their attendance marked for that. However, they will not be considered absent. We are still going to provide instruction during that time. So your child still will get instruction by their classroom teacher, even if they are in quarantine. Another question that I had from parents, and I wanted to make sure that I made this clear. We've had parents ask, what if I don't feel comfortable with my child returning on campus due to COVID? What do I need to do? We're asking that you please reach out to your school level principal before 9 a.m. in the morning, because we do start school back on Monday and we want to make sure our list is as accurate as possible. So if you will please contact them before 9 o'clock in the morning, that way we can get our list correct. Those students that elect to do remote learning, which means learning off campus for the remainder of the school year, will have a certified teacher connected to them, and they will get instruction from a classroom teacher. And I know that was one of the confusions that some of our parents had, was about remote students not having a certified teacher connected to them, that they would only be doing online instruction through a software program. And that is not true. We do have certified teachers that will be reaching out to all of our students in the remote learning platform. And then I think that I have a couple questions coming in. If you can think of a question that I've not answered related to the district level, if you'll please type that in the chat, we'll make sure that we get those answered. When I finish answering questions, then I'm going to open the floor up for each of our principals to share information that's specific to their building and what you need to know that's different with COVID. So one of the questions. Okay, so I have a second grade question on here, Mr. Womack. So I'm going to save that second grade question and let you answer it if you'll read the chat real quick. Okay,
Yes.
so if I'm sorry, Mr. Womack.
No,
If
go ahead.
someone gets COVID and the nurse calls and your child is not the one that is sent home, but needs to be isolated for that time period, I will go ahead and let you know that we cannot give you the name of the child or staff member that they've come in contact with. All we can tell you is that your child has potentially had exposure to COVID, and therefore they will need to quarantine or isolate for 14 days. You can take your child to the doctor. If they test positive for COVID, then they can return within 10 days, as long as 24 hours before that they are fever free and symptom free. If they test negative, they will need to be out for the 14 days and not experience any symptoms during that time. Okay, so then we have principals and question on here about their child being in the remote platform. So we just need to make sure their child's on the list when we get out of the conference. Okay, I think that I've answered the questions that have been posed. So at this time, I'm going to open it up to Mr. Womack, which is the principal of the elementary school, and let him give you specifics related to TES.
Like Dr. McDonald alluded to earlier, we're going to try to restrict movement in the building throughout the day. So all the specials class actually take place in their classroom. The special teachers will be the ones that will actually rotate to the classrooms on the schedule. They will have scheduled restroom breaks. They will also have their breakfast and lunch in the classroom. So they will not be traveling to the cafeteria. They will be going to PE, however, and we're going to try to do more PE classes outside when weather permits. So that's another thing that we'll be doing this year. If we can have our parents have their students remain in their cars until 7:30 when we start allowing students to come into the building. We really don't want the kids to congregate in front of the door for arrival. We want to try to maintain social distance. So we'll be directing the parents to allow the students to get out of the car starting at 7:30. And we'll have all of our teachers on duty to make sure that the kids are practicing safe distance practices and making sure that they have their mask on. We're also asking the parents to help us just have a conversation with their child about the importance of keeping their mask on throughout the day. And we'll definitely try to make that happen during the school day as well. We've got the classrooms set up for the social distancing. So on our blue gold days, please make sure that you don't bring your child on a day that they're not supposed to be at the school. So if you will call the school if you have any questions about which day they're supposed to be coming up, or if you have any conflicts, if you have a student at the intermediate or the high school and we've scheduled your child on a different day, we can make those adjustments. We just need to know. So please go ahead and let us know, like Dr. McDonald said, if you'll let us know by 9 in the morning, we can go ahead and make sure those rosters are correct. 2:50, we need to make sure that the parents know that we are dismissing at 2:50. If you have not already talked to your child's teacher about how they're supposed to get home, please communicate that with your teacher as soon as possible, so we know starting Monday how you want to send your child home, whether it's by bus or you will have someone picking them up, or if they're walkers. We really don't want many walkers if we can possibly avoid it. If you have not picked up your car tag at this point, please come by the school. We're doing another. We had a disbursement of car tags on Wednesday, but we're doing another pickup tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So if you need to pick up your car tag, if you've not done so, please come by the school and we will make sure that you get those. and let you know which day your child is supposed to be at school if you don't know. Let's see. There will not be any drop-ins for after school care this year. So it's very important that you have someone at the school to pick up your child at 2:50 and make sure that that person has the car tag. And if they don't have the car tag, make sure they're on your child's checkout list, because we will be making sure that the child only leaves with somebody that's on their checkout list with their picture ID. So if they don't have a car tag, please make sure that they have their ID with them. I know in the past we've had some situations where some people get upset with us because we don't necessarily just let the child go with anybody. If we have no way of knowing who the person is, we're not going to just turn the child, loose with anybody. So just please make sure that you make those arrangements ahead of time. I think that's about it. And the question that was asked in the chat, if you will call the school tomorrow, we'll make sure that your child is on the virtual roll. And I don't think there's any other questions for the elementary school.
I think that's it. Thank you, Mr. Womack. If you have a question for Mr. Womack or any of the other building level principals, you can go ahead and type that in the box. I will say we did have 2 questions come in when Mr. Womack was talking, so I'll address these real quick before we get to Mr. Moore. What's the difference between remote and virtual? Remote is when you're saying that you want your kids off campus all year. You don't want them to attend on campus. Virtual is where you want your kid on campus, but if they're in isolation or they're sick, they may have to go to virtual for those days, and then they jump back to on-campus learning. So one of the ways has to do with not coming on campus at all. The other one is you want to be on campus. You're just off campus if need be. Another question had to do with how many kids are in the classroom. Each classroom is a little bit different. I will say we are working extremely hard to make sure that our kids are socially distanced as possible. I do know that some of our classrooms have spread the desk out as much as they can, and they're utilizing all the space in their classroom. And so another thing that Mr. Womack touched on that I do want to emphasize, we are working really hard to cut down on the amount of transition that we have going on and the amount of movement. And so we are asking students to stay in their desk more often than moving around, so that we can keep the kids as socially distanced as possible. So depending on which grade level they're in, depends on what the class size for that grade level or content area is. I will say our high school classes are a little more full than our elementary intermediate classes due to the amount of students that are enrolled in each of those classes.
I had one thing I left off, Dr. McDonald. We also asking that students do not bring backpacks on campus. I neglected to say that earlier.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Good evening, parents. Mr. Womack pretty much, said everything that we needed said. There were some arrival. Please try to keep your students in the cars before 7:30. Just like Mr. Womack said, we're trying to, our best to keep social distancing and to try to, continue to stay within the guidelines. And so once we get the students in the building, breakfast and lunch will be in the classrooms. We are going to be doing allowing students to bring water bottles because we don't want them going back and forth to the water fountain or putting their mouths on the water fountain. That will be a hot spot, and we also have disposable cups there as well. Our maintenance department did a great job on providing us with hand sanitizers and all of that. So we're going to have everything set up, those stands set up in those areas. We're also going to be not allowing more than 3 kids in the restroom at a time. And I know that's, it's going to be very hard to do, but we have a plan in place to try to keep the lines and when we do transition, which Mr. Womack said earlier, and Dr. McDonald is going to be very limited. You know, our specials teachers are going to be traveling to the classrooms, and our 5th and 6th grade, they are going to be departmentalized, but our teachers are going to be moving and our students are not. So even during PE time, just like Mr. Womack said, I'll just piggyback off him. We're going to be trying to do a lot of outdoor activities when the weather permits. But even when we're in the gym, we're going to be using that 3 to 6 feet, and make sure that we keep it moving and keep those doors open so that ventilation and that good air could come through there. No book bags this year. They can bring their computer bags. And if they have any lunch bags, please make sure that they can be disposable, because we know that some students may bring lunch, but we are providing lunch for those students. I know Dr. McDonald may have told you guys earlier, but I would like to also let you guys know, when we're in this blended model, when the students are not on campus, we will be providing lunch. Those times will be posted. I think the day is going to be Wednesday. Am I right, Dr. McDonald? I think for the 3-day, which will be in the blended model, I think your time is 9 o'clock to 9:45. And if you are remote, and Dr. McDonald explained the remote model, if you are remote, your day will be the same day, which is Wednesday. But I think that pickup time is it 10, Dr. McDonald, to 11? I think it's 10 to 11. But if you guys have any questions, please just call us at the school, so we can let you know when that pickup time will be. Um, I think that's it. You know, we're going to do the best we can, parents. You know, even though we know these are trying times, but we please send them with their face mask. And if they don't have any, we will provide them. Um, but if you guys have any questions, just please call the school, or you can reach me on my cell at 205-807-7281. You can text me, you can call me, you know, just let us know so we can answer all of your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I will go ahead and say, because we've had this question come in twice, are we saying no backpacks? That is correct. Elementary, intermediate school will be doing no backpacks this year. We do need them to charge their Chromebooks and bring their Chromebook in their case every day to school, because even though they're on campus, we're still using that technology. So we are asking no backpacks for this year. Just bring your Chromebook with you. At this time, we're going to transition to Mr. Heron at the high school.
I had one more thing before Mr. Heron started. And if you did not get a case for your Chromebook, we have cases for them. And if there any damage, or if a charger is not working, if you're having problems with the technology or with the Chromebooks, please let us know. Ms. Goodwine and Mr. England have been doing a good job of assisting us with making sure all of our things are working properly. And the students seem to enjoy it. Our teachers seem to enjoy it, but we're ready to get them back on campus. Thank you guys. And Mr. Heron, I'm sorry for cutting you off, sir.
Not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Moore. We're all in the same gang. Good evening, parents and Mr. Heron from the high school. First, I would like to start off as saying the split was Thrive from the high school. We split our students from A through L. That'll be the blue day, and M through Z for the gold day. Unless there was a conversation with myself or the front office or one of our SPED teachers, that would be your child split. We have been taking phone calls for the past almost a week from my call out that you had time to call and request a split. We have not been taking requests for certain days that may be more convenient to you guys, but what would make sense as the numbers of our children in the class. So just bear with us. I do have a parent in the chat that I would check on the remote also. So That's Miss Sanders for Brandon. So I will take care of that also. Um, far as the way our school will head out for us, uniforms. Once again, we are in uniform. We like to stress that again and again. We are in uniform, and that's the solid polo shirts with the collar and black, khaki, navy pants. So that is uniform. It is already kind of lax, but that is uniform we'll be going with this year also. And please, with the uniform, you might as well throw the mask with it. So along with the uniform, just might as well say the mask is part of the uniform. Even getting on the bus, we're required to have a mask. So we are requiring our children here at the high school to be masked up. And that's one of our little one-liners is mask up at all times. As Dr. McDonald stated earlier, we expect you guys to bring your students to bring the Chromebooks charged daily in their bag. There are a few of the last Chromebook distributions that did not get a case, and thank you, Mr. Moore, for bringing that up. We will have the case for them when they arrive at school, so we'll be able to get a case for that to protect that Chromebook. No backpacks are allowed at the high school, but the high school will allow you to have a string back sack. If you've seen those string back sacks, they're not backpacks, but they're almost like athletic sacks. They just take the string, they're real light. You find them at Walmart, Target, some of your also athletic stores. So you can bring a sealed bottled waters. At security doors, if you bring bottled waters, they're already open. We will not allow you to bring it in. So you need to have sealed bottled waters because our water fountains will be cut off for shared use. Also, our buses. Our buses will be color coded to the days also. So on blue days, our buses will have blue cards on the doors and on around the buses. So then, before your child gets on the bus, they will know exactly what day they're supposed to come on. Also on gold days, they will uh, coordinate with our days. So blue and gold days, not only you have a reminder from the school, the teachers, yourself, but the bus drivers will also be on the same page as far as the blue and gold days. But it is imperative that you pay attention to your child's days and send them on the right day. If you send them on the wrong day, there's some mistakes sometimes that happen. But in order for us to keep our numbers the way they are, we need you really to stick to that plan and send them on the day that's assigned to your child. For the high school, doors were not open until around 8 o'clock. For our buses, they're going to run the same time as they usually do, but we will not open our doors until 8 o'clock. So if you're dropping off your kid at 7:20, 7:15, then they will be standing outside. Now, right now, while the weather is fine, but when the weather gets a little cold, please keep that in mind. We'll have unsupervised children, so around 8 o'clock, we'll open the doors and our like the other schools will be eating breakfast and lunch in the classrooms. Um, Also, after 8:20, your child's considered late. That hasn't changed. It's the same as it was in previous years. After 8:20, your child is late. So please keep that in mind. At the high school, we have taken out lockers. So there'll be no lockers this year. One reason is to stop the congregation of lockers. So when they come in the building, they're going straight to their first period for breakfast. We have extended our transition time from 4 minutes to 5 minutes, just to give our teachers enough time as the kids move that they can do their cleaning process of the wiping down the desks and the doorknobs to get ready for the next class. PE, that's another big topic for PE. We do not require your children to dress out for PE. Our PE teachers will have some other activities that are not shared or contact or anything like that to keep each other safe. I still have a few parents that I'm calling that want to switch to remote, and I will make that last call tomorrow. I want to have a personal conversation, even though you put a request in my front office, and my front office takes all the requests. I call to have a personal conversation so you understand the difference between remote and traditional, and it's a certain agreements that we have in place to make sure that it's best for your child, because our ultimate goal is to make sure that your child is successful. So we want to make sure that you're putting your child in the best situation to succeed, and we understand that safety is one of your number one concerns, so we'll have that in play also. So if any questions, you feel free to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Heron. I also need to clarify about the meals. And someone mentioned this earlier. If your student is coming back on campus and they're in the blue gold schedule, then we will have a meal pickup on Wednesday for them between 9 and 10 in the morning. That is pre-order only. So you will be getting 3 breakfast and 3 lunch. If your student is doing remote learning, which means off campus completely, they will be able to pick up meals on Wednesday from 12 to 12:45, and that is by pre-order only. So all meal kits can be picked up on Wednesday, but they do have to be pre-ordered. That way our CMP staff has a week notice in order to be able to get those kits ready for students to pick up. Are there any other questions? I know it's 6:30. If you have any additional questions, we'll be happy to answer those. If not, then we're going to conclude tonight's session. We thank you so much for participating with us and tuning in. If you think of a question after we're off of the call, you can please reach out to us and we will get that information back to you as soon as possible. We did have a question come in about parking permits, Mr. Heron, if you'd like to answer that real quick.
Sure. So if we have seniors that are going to drive on campus, there is a $10 fee. And to come to the front office, you would need a copy of your driver's license, insurance, and registration, and we'll give you a parking permit.
Thank you. And so I think that has answered everyone's questions. Thank you so much for coming out this afternoon and participating with us. We look forward to a successful school year and wanted to let you know that we're doing everything possible to keep your child safe and also educate them in the best environment possible. Thanks.